Hi folks, Jason here. In this video we're going to be exploring how to create a glass material, but also how to put dirt onto that material and even have a play around with creating a bump as well, as you can see there with this bottle here. So without further ado, let's get going. So you can see here I've created actually just really one bottle with different sort of shades on it. I'm just going to click on this one first. I'm going to go through to the shading, and essentially this is what we're looking at. It's relatively simple to do. That's with an actual glass texture and also a bit of dirt as well. From there, we're also going to look at then putting a bump onto this and actually making it look a bit more like this. And you can have all kinds of fun with doing that as well. I'm going to go back to my layout. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the bottles I've created, Shift D, and right click. And then let's just go and bring that to the front. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this material out completely, or replace it, should I say. So I'm going to go to the Materials tab here. I'm going to click on the plus icon there and go New. And let's just call this New Glass. There we go. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit the Tab key, A to select it, and I'm going to assign that material. So now that's all there is on there. It's a very basic material on there. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through to shading, and let's get this in view just so we can actually see it happening in real time. So all we're going to need to do, it's actually very, very simple to turn this transparent, is we need to take the roughness down so it's nice and shiny. Go to where it says transmission, click on that, take that all the way up to 1. And you can see it's already getting like a sort of glass effect, but it's not quite there yet. We need to go over to the material, and we need to enable ray trace transmission. So if you don't see this, it's under settings. So if you go to settings, scroll down and click on ray trace transmission. So now it's transparent, but it's not quite right. We need to go to where it says thickness, click on there and click on slab. And now we have our transparency. So that's essentially how you create it. Now there are glass shaders that you can use, but this is a very, very simple way of doing it this way. Now, in order to start having some fun and putting some dirt on there, we're going to need to do a few more things. So if we click back onto the other bottle, I'm just going to show you what else goes into it. So you can see there, that's what we've created so far. We just need to add another texture, color ramp, and a mix shader. So if I just bring this up a little bit, I'm going to click off from here and type in image. And where it says image texture color, click on that there. New, I'm going to call this dirt. And if it says 1024 on yours, you just want to click and hold with your mouse and then type in 4096, like I've got there. And that's all you need to do. And then just click on image. Next, we need a color ramp. So I'm going to type in the word color and go to color ramp here with FAC. And then just move this out a little bit. And we just need a mix shader FAC. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that into the top there and then drag that into there like so. Now we're still not getting anything coming through there because we need to take this out from here, because all we're doing is we're going to be using this texture separate from that, but they're all going into the same mix, as you can see there. So that's essentially the setup. Now, where do we go from here? So we've got all of our setup here. We've got our bottle. We need to now start applying some dirt. So let's go through to texture paint. And one of the things, if we just go back to the shading with this, you can put a texture in here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of create some noise. So if I go through to texture paint, and in the top tab here, the tool tab, you should be sort of set up already to start painting. And what we're going to do, if I just scroll down, Now, this is what you might see. You might see something like that, or it might, well, you won't see something like that. You'll see something more than likely, it'll be blank. You'll have something like, if I just go to there, you'll probably see something like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on clouds and we're going to start painting with clouds. And of course, we're going to do some adjustments along the way. So you can affect the size of the brush by hitting F and moving down. You can see that already it's wanting to project an image on there. So if I just zoom in now onto this bottle, you can actually start painting on it like so. So basically just paint on it. To take away, it's control and just dab it. And the applications for this, of course, you could use for a multitude of things, whether it's bottles, windows, bottles. It could even be, on other shiny objects as well, and things like that. Now, in terms of like the depth, at the moment I've got that at 2. You can experiment with a lot of this. You can maybe up the depth a little bit of this. You can also perhaps even uh, change it from soft to hard if you wanted to. So I'm going to change mine back. We can play around a lot with this in the color ramp. In terms of the size, if I just increase that, you can see there the clouds are getting larger and larger and larger. So if I just zoom out a little bit and go into another little bit, you'll just get more of a general blob. Whereas if you take the size down, you can see though already that's quite small, quite bitty. Yeah. So it's just really finding a happy medium. Now, what I probably would suggest, if you wanted to kind of do like a big area, is you could use this fill tool and literally just click on that there. It'll fill the entire thing. Go back to your brush and then simply hold down Control and just start taking it out. So that can be quite useful. So again, think about where it might acquire dirt. So probably something more like around the edges, perhaps, something like that. And of course, you can add it back as well. So let's say you're kind of like you're taking these bits out here, there, and everywhere. You might get a bit of lag, by the way, so just be warned. Say something like that. Okay. And you can add some back on or control and take it away. Now, let's say you end up with something that looks like this. You can think, well, that's looking dandy, but I want to kind of try and manipulate it a little bit more. I want to add a bit more detail. What you can do is you can go back to your shading. And if I just zoom in here, you can start playing around with the color ramp. So if I like move some of these things together, like say here, look what starts to happen. You can get a lot more of a kind of harder edge, kind of graphic edge to it, things like that. Like so. And again, just experiment, play around. You can end up with a negative, so you can actually end up where most of it's filled and you've got some other little patches here. Again, just the best thing to do with stuff like this is just experiment with it. But let's say I'm happy with something like that. I mean, more or less. You can do some more work to it, but let's say I want to do something like that. And then you can go back into texture paint and continue working into it, holding down control and doing it like that. Now that's essentially it. If that's all you wanted to kind of do and just add some dirt to a glass, that's it. And, feel free to kind of play around with it as you need it. Now, this bump, let's have a look at creating a bump. So this is, again, pretty easy to do. All we need to do is going to go back into the shading. We just need to move these two to one side, move this over here, move the texture and the color ramp over here. And all we're going to do is we're just going to add essentially a color ramp and a bump to this, and then connect this up to the normal on here. So really simple to do. So let's just get this in view so you can see it happening in real time. So from here, I'm going to create a color ramp. Now you could also just copy this as well, but let's say I'm just going to do that just for the sake of expediency. And also I'm going to create a bump. So I'm going to take that out from there, type in the word bump, and we're going to go with bump normal there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to connect that up to the normal. And then what we need to do is where we've got it going into normal, we need to click that into height. And there we can see it's already starting to have effect. Now you can play around with parts of this by using the color ramp and experiment in that way. So again, it could be like, like really old glass that's kind of like bubbled up. And of course, the beauty of this is once you've kind of set that up, and of course you can invert it as well if you wanted to. So at the moment it's bubbling out from the bottle. You can go invert, so it's actually going into the bottle as well if you wanted to kind of do that. But we'll just keep it as is. Go back into texture. You can then continue working. So again, just taking away, adding, things like that. And this is all like on a low poly bottle as well. So really, really interesting. And of course, I'm going to be doing some other videos as well, exploring some of the other shaders that you can kind of create and put onto objects. Essentially, for sort of concepts and things like that. Pretty cool, huh? That's pretty much it, folks. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. And if you've got any questions, of course, please get in touch. If you like this video, please leave a like and, of course, subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Okay, thanks a lot, folks. Bye for now.